Hi Claudia, hi Helsingborg.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Oh, I just see the ones that I just popped up on my screen there.
Hello.
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 We're going to mute you all in a moment, so this is your moment to say hello.
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 Hi.
Welcome everybody.
Hi.
Good morning. Welcome.
Hi.
Can everybody see my little generation code screen which says welcome?
Yes.
Yes, excellent.
Yes.
So, good morning. It's Tuesday, it's October, it's still a pandemic, but we're really happy to be here today. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Ilona Kish, and I'm the Director of Public Libraries 2030. And you see there, Teen, can you wave your hand? Can everybody see Tiana? Teen, she's my colleague, and she's sitting in the library. She's going to be moderating this session with me. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to take you through very quickly. Now I'm going to ask Teen to do the house rules for me, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the event that we're going to have now and over the next few days, okay? Go for it, Teen. Oh, next slide.
If you could, yeah.
There you go.
So this is a Zoom meeting. I'm sure you're all very familiar with it, but let's just remember a few key sort of rules. I don't like to say rules, but it's just we'd like to remember that. So if you have a question, type it in the chat, or if you're feeling particularly chatty or really brave, just raise your hand to let us know, and then we'll go to you to do that. And in order to raise your hand, you have to go to, I used to be able to do this off the top of my head. Just let us know and we'll get to you. The chat is there for you to discuss, exchange, network. If you want to, present your project that way, that's totally fine. And then also, as Ilona just mentioned, we're going to mute you all unless you're speaking, so we'll keep your microphones muted. And then just to answer your question, we are recording the session and it will be going up on our website once we get the recording. So if you ever miss any of the sessions we have coming up in the next 2 days, just check back into the gallery and they'll most likely be up there. And then, yeah, let's just have some fun with this, guys.
Let's enjoy ourselves. Thank you, Teen. So is everybody going on mute now? Excellent. Total professional. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So the first question that we just wanted to ask you all is, how many of you here have actually been to Generation Code in Brussels in the European Parliament? One hand, I see you, I recognize you. Yeah, hi. So nobody else came in the physical edition in the past. Okay. Ah, yeah, hi, Sanika. Yeah, okay, see you. Yeah, okay, excellent. So this event that we host every year, the idea was twofold. One was to have a way to invite libraries to show something that they were doing with digital, with tech, with coding. And then the other piece was to get the librarians to meet MEPs and kind of show the members of the European Parliament that libraries did something more exciting, innovative, something you could touch and feel, something that was really cutting edge. What we found was that one of the most useful things was that the libraries would see each other and see what they were doing. So for this online edition, that's what we've tried to do a little bit here and have a kind of virtual gallery. So I'm sure that you've had a moment to look at the screen, at the website, which launched yesterday. I'm just going to see if I can put up the thingy. Can you see that now? Yeah. So when you click on the top of the website, you see Library Lab, and this is where you can do a dive into all of our virtual exhibits. And with no prejudice or just because there were things that piqued our interest, I've invited a few of the exhibitors to present and talk very briefly about the exhibit that they're having. And then I'd like to have a conversation today, which I'd like to finish tomorrow, which is, you know, around two general topics, really. One is how has this year been for you, and what have been the challenges and opportunities of taking stuff online? And then the second question is really, what do you think is the next step? What's the future of digital engagement in public libraries, particularly with regards to the patrons? So I think that we have progressed a great deal from, say, 20 years ago, when we said, you can go online in the library, there's Wi-Fi, there's a public access computer. We're offering so much more than that now. Earlier in the year, we had a series of online debates, and one was with the head of digital of the New York Public Library, Tony Aguirre. And he said something very interesting, which is that what we perhaps need to learn to do is not try and replicate what we do in the library online, but think about evolving and using the digital dimension as something complementary to what we're doing in person. So there's the two topics, you know, something around what's happened this year and thinking about future developments. And I'm going to hand over first to Maya from Croatia. We were very ambitious in saying, don't worry about preparing anything, because we like to do things relaxed and informal. But if you agree, Maya, I'll open up your gallery here. We won't play anything, but you can just, at least we can have some images there. So Mike, do you need to, can you unmute Maya, or can you do it yourself? There you go. Still don't hear you, Maya.
Okay.
They're perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, my name is Maya Lesinger. I am from Croatia and I work in a small library. There are two people working in the library with me, my accountant and my assistant librarian. So we are very honored to be here today and to be amongst such great libraries and amongst such great things that you have all done. We are very excited about this project that we have done, because it enabled us to go beyond our library, beyond our small community of 8,000 souls who live in our small city. So we decided to do something else. We didn't want to do any online story time or do the things that other libraries have been doing, because we have been spying on them like we were supposed to do, to get some ideas, because for us it was very new to be online and to serve our public in such way, because most of our public are older people, and we were having trouble with going to digital tools and representing our digital work to our fellow librarians and especially to our public. So we wanted to do something out of the box and step outside of the lines of our library, and we decided to combine the love of written word, especially Harry Potter, the magic, playing games, going outside and being there for our public, because I think that most of the libraries were faced with that problem, that the citizens and their patrons were overwhelmed with the digital materials that were coming from the libraries, from schools, from other institutions. And so we decided to make an online exhibition, but not an ordinary exhibition. We reached out to the gaming community who played Harry Potter Wizards Unite game, and we decided to give them a task to find their library and to screenshot the library, which was a place of interest in the game, So in order to play the game, you have to have energy, and you can gather energy on the map. And usually libraries were the places where you could get that energy from. So we have 94 exhibits.
Wow.
And the count is still going on because I shared the library, I shared the link to the exhibition on the group that helped me gather all the materials. So thank you to all the players who were joining the Wizards Unite exchange code group. They were also very excited and they were very happy with the end result. It was quite an experience for us because we got a lot of feedback. Not only we didn't only get the pictures, we also got feedback from the people who gathered those pictures, telling how libraries changed their lives. Maybe they were librarians and worked in the libraries. Some of them missed their libraries because they were closed, and this was the opportunity to go out and see the library from outside, if not from the inside. And the thing that really warmed our heart is that everyone pitched in and tried to help us. And some people even managed to gather 5 or 6 libraries and drove with their car to get that library that was near their home and wanted to help us.
Amazing, amazing. That's amazing. Is this something you'll consider doing again, you know, in a non-COVID time or non-pandemic time?
I was trying to do something else, not to gather libraries, because there was an issue. So like I said, the libraries are a place of interest on the map. So you gather the energy from the libraries. But in our country, and especially in our county, we have 7 public libraries and none of them are included in the map. So I thought that maybe we could do something else, because in our country, most of the religious and cultural objects and institutions were on the map. So maybe do something with a different topic, maybe some other exhibition that could include other institutions like museums or some different statues or something like that.
So I apologize because I can't see, there's something about my login. I can't see the chat room here. I think, team, can you see the chat? I can't see you.
Yep, I can see the chat.
See the chat. So please put your questions in the chat, or comments or thoughts. And you know, I'll ask team to relay some back. So I'm not going to be able to see that. You know, there's so many things that jump to mind about this for me. Also, one of the comments that we often get is, how do you involve smaller libraries? How do you involve libraries that are in small spaces? What about if you're in a tiny library that doesn't have some massive fab lab, maker space, you know, some really massive digital resources? I have one last question. Did you have the technical skills that you needed to do this, or did you have to sort of buy them in from somewhere, or how did you manage that aspect of things?
This was the first time that we ever bought software. So as you said, we are a small library. We are struggling with our resources, our space, our personnel, and especially with technical equipment. But we managed to get an award for the best library practice. So we are doing something right. So we got an Eiffel Award this year.
Wow.
So I think that most of our community is the key for smaller libraries to succeed, because we get a lot of donations. We interact with the public, with the different firms who maybe donate money or resources like technical equipment and so on. We usually pick some programs and software that are free, but during this COVID time, I think that we went far from the things that were free, because we couldn't do any more free accounts. We couldn't log into some programs that offer 2 weeks of trial or something like that. So that was a problem. And we decided to buy we bought this software that our exhibition was displayed in. So we are very happy with that. We didn't have any problems, and the technical skills that were needed to do an exhibition like this were acquired afterwards. So as we came along and did the exhibition, we also learned how to use the tool. I know it's very funny for the big libraries to hear such struggles with small libraries, and the libraries that have big labs and a lot of resources don't pretty much, I don't think that they have to think about the stuff that we have to think about. So like $30 for this software was a big expense for us,
Wow,
but
okay,
it was worth
okay,
it.
good to know, good to know, yeah. It occurs to me that you could, you know, we could have a kind of Harry Potter European interactive library program.
Yeah, that would
And,
be
you know,
great.
I'm struggling to sort of visualize it, but wouldn't it be a great way of, a bit like Pokemon Go, but for libraries of
Yeah.
Potter or something, you know, across Europe. And then we could, that would be a really quick way of putting libraries on the map everywhere, wouldn't it? If we got all
Yeah.
the kids to do that. Well, God, that's a really good idea. Anybody who's in,
Yeah,
just,
it's a good idea because we thought about that and we read I read a couple of articles that when Pokemon Go was issued and published, that a lot of public libraries organized gaming days and so on, because the libraries were included also there on the map as the places of interest. But Harry Potter brings more to this idea because you can connect the game with the books.
yes.
So I think that's an added value, and you can travel with Harry Potter a game to different sites, see different libraries, read books, make story time, and everything that Harry Potter can bring into this account. So I think this really has potential, and I'm very pleased that a lot of people came and helped make this exhibition, because we have people from different continents, from all over the world. But I have to say big thanks to all the people from the United States, because they really have a lot of libraries, a lot of free libraries, and they were really eager to help.
I think it's a great example, and I think it's really great to show, you know, something inspiring that can be done with very small amount of money, with small libraries and small resources. That was also, you know, sometimes as a European organization, we're often asked about why and how libraries can be involved on a European level. And this shows, you know, how you can put yourself on the map in a really meaningful way. I just, before we go to the next exhibit that we've selected, I just want to ask if there's anybody who's would really like to say something, even if it's, wow, that's fantastic, or if there's stuff in the chat that I've missed. Jasper, I don't know who you are, but I'm really appreciating your smiling face on my little gallery there. It's very nice to see them smiling faces, and I can see people nodding and smiling. So I'm sorry, I'm a little bit compromised. Is there anything on the chat that I'm missing, Teen?
Nope. No,
okay,
good.
so do please put stuff in if you want to, and we've put for all of the exhibitors the contact details for the libraries, and you know, we've encouraged, you know, all of the exhibitors have agreed, you know, that they're open, of course, to be contacted and talked to. And we decided not to have kind of like specific spaces right now for people to talk, because you can do that whenever you have time and it works for you. So that's great. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to go to the second exhibit, or it's very different and a very big library now. I'm going to ask Christoph, who's working at the KB, the Koninklijke Bibliotheek in The Hague in the Netherlands. It's the Dutch National Library, and they have a project that they want to share, which I think we picked because it has a real growth potential, and it's something that they want to share with libraries across the world. So Christoph, you have the floor, and I'm just going to pull up the screen while you come on.
Okay, hi. Yeah, my name is Christoph. So the project we are presenting is very interesting because I'm actually not a librarian. I'm actually not working for the Royal Library in Den Haag, but instead I'm an assistant professor in computer science at the Delft University of Technology. And that's exactly what this project is about, because what I'm going to present is a future library labs, which is an attempt to have a research, so a scientific collaboration between our national library and hopefully together with that, with all the other libraries in the country and our, well, academic institutions. And in this case, it would be the computer science faculty at TU Delft and the industrial design faculty. And I'm not sure how common these things are. For us, it's a very new collaboration and a very exciting thing, because now we have librarians and people working in different positions at the National Library in Den Haag, working together with researchers like, well, me in this case, and from different disciplines. And what we try to do here is to bring, well, integrate scientific research or picking out topics which have a scientific interest and trying to bring them into the library landscape. So these might be different projects. So we have a whole bunch of projects in mind, but right now, as a starting point, we have 2 projects which are starting at the moment, and one would be using artificial intelligence technologies for helping us to transcribe images to make them more accessible for visually impaired or even blind people. So that's a very, very, very tough call from a technology perspective. This is why we have people like me in there from a computer science background, but also the industrial design people who look more at the requirements and how such an interaction might look like. And another project which is focusing more on the usage statistics and the usage patterns of libraries and on what kind of content and topics people are interested in, where we run some large-scale data analytics. So basically try to bring data science into the library world. It's a rather new thing. We are all very excited to see where this goes. And I personally believe that collaborations like that are super relevant and super important, because for me and as an academic, as a researcher, we tend, especially in computer science, quite often to just invent our own problems, which we then solve ourselves, and then are very happy that we did a good job solving the thing we just invented. But this project is quite different because now we are connected with practitioners, so basically people who have a real problem, and we can really have impact with our research, which is amazing to see. And it's not just us, so it's also interfaculty. So yeah, so
Okay.
there's a question in the chat I'm seeing. So we currently started developing that project. However, there's already some results, but they're more on the prototype stage. So what we're trying to do with the visually impaired project is trying to find currently available AI technologies, which are mostly very lacking for that task. I mean, they're super powerful, but still not the right thing, and trying to adapt them a little bit more towards user need. So this is what this project is about. So in this project, we have people who do machine learning on images. We have me who's more working on metadata generation and, well, crowdsourcing and human in the loop approaches, and people from the more process point of view.
Okay. Thank you so much. Question, is this a project that's open for other libraries to participate in from other countries?
I guess so. I mean, right now we are in a very, very early stage.
Mm-hmm.
So we are basically starting up right now, but as both the National Library in Den Haag and especially our university are both public institutions, and all our academic research is always open. Of course, we are also happy for collaboration. So basically all results we are going to create will be published. All software will be open source. And while we don't have the repository open yet, because it's still a super alpha, very soonish we will make it available. And it would be cool to collaborate with others, of course.
Okay. I mean, that's what I'd understood, you know, from our colleagues in the Dutch Royal Library, was that this was something that we could really imagine as being a sort of pilot that could go and I'm not sure I like to use the word model, but something that could really be experimented with in other places.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to come back to you, Christoph, when I talk about
Yes.
future digital, because obviously we'd like to.
Yeah. I mean, these things are always interesting because with all these technologies, there's a lot of potential. How well they really work in practice when being used by a lot of people, I mean, that remains to be seen. But I mean, this is what research is about, of course.
Mm-hmm. I can't see everybody, but maybe tomorrow we'll do a quick kind of check in terms of, I'm really curious, you know, we've done, this is our 5th year of talking about digital in libraries. And I think when you do a physical exhibition, you're very focused on objects because you want to give people something to touch and feel. So we had 3D printers, we had VR headsets, robots, and of course the members of the parliament love that. And it was really amazing how, certainly 5 years ago, almost none of them had ever seen any of this stuff, you know, which was great for us from an advocacy point of view, because we could say, well, you know, you can experience these new tools and technologies in a public library, and they're there for everybody to experiment with. We also talked a lot in the last few years around the maker spaces and fab labs and that sort of emerging movement. And I'd be really curious to know how many libraries still find that exciting, whether they've done it, like you say, Christoph, is like, how much is this, you know, adding value to the library activities? How much is it used? Sometimes it's very expensive. Also technology changing all the time, so you need to buy new gear and kit every year. So I think that's something I'd like to come back to as we move into this kind of slightly more mature phase. We had hoped to have a presentation from Aarhus, and I see that they've not been able to join just yet. Does anybody have any, I know that there's been questions going in the chat. I'd quite like to jump and ask Claudia in Progress Foundation to talk a little bit about your exhibit. I can't see you, Claudia, so if you're making a horrible face at me, then that's fine. Just maybe for a few minutes, and I see that Aarhus has just come in. I'd really appreciate that. And I also want to say that if there are any of you here who'd really like to talk about the project that you're presenting, please put a note in the chat, and if we can't get to it today, we'll get to it tomorrow. And maybe we'll have a quick exchange by email or by text in between, just to have a quick chat with you, as we've done with the presenters from today. So I'm going to jump to you, Claudia, and then welcome, Jane. I see you've joined us, and I'm going to hand over to you in a moment, but I can't see you right now. Is that okay, Claudia?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. As I answered the question at the beginning, we've never been to Generation Code before, and we wanted to join the cool gang for a while now, because we've been doing a project that is a little bit different in terms of structure. We are a network of clubs that are teaching children, mostly from rural libraries, rural communities, to code. And they do that freely at the library. So we are doing this for more than 3 years now in Romania. And last year we also started to work with librarians from Republic of Moldova. And even though we do our project in rural communities, and our expectation were oriented towards the community and what it's actually manageable to do in a small, poor rural community, the kids exceeded our expectation. They managed to learn how to do all the homeworks and learn the ABC of programming. We have alumni from our project who join high schools with classes of robotics and computer science, and are actually advocating for teaching children how to learn to code in their own communities. We have 85 clubs during the pandemic. This affected our numbers, so it's a little bit lower than we expected for 2020, but we have 85 functioning clubs. where children, even though they cannot come physically at the library, you had libraries closed for months now, they still meet on Zoom. Our librarians became experts on Zoom. And sometimes they teach us, you know, like how to do stuff here. The clubs were there to help children show that they can build a better future for themselves. And I think we're still doing that even in the face of the pandemic, even in the face of a fall that doesn't look very good. We are actually preparing 8 something like science fairs that we're gonna do. The first one is this Friday for Tulcea County, which is a region close to the Black Sea and the Danube River. And the kids will come online to present their projects and get prizes. And hopefully the best from them will join our national science fair that will happen at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So we are promoting coding and digital education as much as we can, and we are doing it at the grassroots level. Mm-hmm. We're looking for partners in all these communities where we are involved, and for the next 3 years this will be our plan, to get to create local supporters for libraries and the community to actually provide chances for children to build their own future using technology.
Thank you so much, Claudia. It's interesting to actually hear a coding example. As you know, maybe you don't know, this project was born because the European Union have an event every year called EU Code Week. And I think they're in their 6th year now, and the intention of this program was to have a kind of grassroots initiative to highlight activities around coding and to demonstrate the importance of coding. And it basically consists in an online interactive map where they asked people to upload events that they were doing in coding. And when we looked at it 5 years ago, there was not one library on there. And we didn't understand this, and we knew that coding was happening in libraries, but we didn't understand why the libraries were not there. So we sort of talked with the Commission over the last few years to say, how can we understand what the coding activities in libraries are and could be? Where are there good examples? And that's why we have a session during the program to meet some of the Code Week ambassadors. So the Commission has appointed one person for every country in the EU who's supposed to coordinate the EU Code Week activities over the year and be a kind of support and a resource. They're not paid. They have very different profiles in different countries. But we really, the origin of this event was to encourage the librarians to get some confidence with hosting coding, and to also make it visible that they were really contributing to this quite urgent need. So it's kind of a bit of history, and it's kind of funny because although we're doing this in Code Week, of course, we're talking much more broadly, but coding is kind of at the heart of what we're doing. I know there was a question in the chat. I really apologize because I can see your name, guys, and it says Pat's Sao team. So you're going to have to introduce yourself very quickly. And I know it was a question relevant from the previous question. If you still want to do it, do please go ahead. You'll have to unmute yourself, or team can unmute you, I think.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. We are from National Library of Lithuania, so Patsau is just the name of our makerspace, so probably I will need to change the name. Sorry for that.
Okay, welcome. Hi.
Jana.
Yeah.
We are here. Yeah.
And I just had a question for Christoph, but it's just regarding his project. It was what is the end vision of this whole project for visually impaired people? So what this system or this program will actually do for them? Will it talk what to see on the image, or what it should look like?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so that's essentially what we are after. So right now we have a large collection of digital image description frameworks, so basically AI tools which do give image captions. However, typically these captions are not really tailored for the use case. So basically they are just naming the objects you see there. So what we try to do is to figure out what the context of the image is and how to end up with a better description, which is more helpful to understand the content. So this is basically what this is about.
Okay.
So less generic image description, but more purpose-driven, context-sensitive image description.
Okay. Is that helpful?
Yeah, I just remember that British Library is also doing a tagging when they're working with their resources, tagging of the books, like images also. So it's a huge project over there as well. I'm not sure whether you're aware of it or not, but it's also a big project there.
Could I ask people to perhaps note in the chat, where do you go? How do you find out about these things? So you know something with the British Library. Are there some useful exchange forums on if you're setting up a digital project, what's your go-to resource? Or are you looking, I guess I'm kind of thinking of how we can share information and knowledge with each other. How do you know about that British Library project, for example?
There was an annual, not annual, biannual probably festival this year, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. We were joining together, Lilast, yeah, and there was a great presentation from, I don't remember the name of, I will need to look it out. So, and it was all presenting about how to digitalize the resources that the library has. And like for an hour, he was talking about what British Library was engaged with. And it was so interesting. So I just remember that information because it's actually what National Library of Lithuania is heading to. So I thought that it could be interesting as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is maybe, a question for you guys and the broader community as we go forward is how this is the first time we've put all of this stuff online, and it'd be maybe really nice to put some additional resources around that in terms of how people can connect with each other. There's so much value in sharing specific individual projects, but I'm also aware that there's so much good stuff out there and we want to find it and help people to get inspired. So if anybody has like one thing that they heard of that was really interesting, I don't mean in terms of projects, but I mean more in terms of kind of bigger scale resources or interesting things that it would be worth having a quick look at, and perhaps also sometimes outside of the library world is quite interesting as well, because I think this is an interesting challenge for us as libraries as well, is to connect with other digital providers. For example, we had some libraries that got quite involved with Mozilla Fest a few years ago, and then thinking about digital badges, for example, and other sort of tools that are coming from other sectors. So I'm just throwing it out there, but if something just occurs to you as we're chatting, just do note it in. So I'm delighted that we've got Jane from, I hope I don't make the same mistake again. You've come to us via the Aarhus Public Libraries, and talking about something very different than a data democracy. So Jane, I hope you can unmute yourself and I'll try and pull up your...
Hopefully I have unmuted myself.
Yeah, perfect. We hear you.
Okay.
Floor's yours. Go ahead. Here we go. Now we don't hear you.
Okay. It's because I'm not saying anything.
Ah, okay. Go ahead.
I'm not sure quite the angle of, because now I kind of dropped in and you were talking about the Corona situation and initiatives with that.
Sure.
And our project has been kind of, it's not been part of the whole Corona situation, but we have been working the last 2 years with data literacy for citizens in Aarhus. So the program has had some financial support, so we have had the possibility to develop different kind of tools to teach data literacy, and as the project has kind of proceeded, it has been one of our main learnings that while when we started the program, it was a lot about, we wanted people to kind of start using data for themselves in their own lives. And I guess that's still the overall vision, but we have noticed along the way that many citizens have very vague understanding of what data is to begin with. And it's kind of hard to imagine people using data, open data in their own lives if they do not understand what it is. So we've kind of been changing from being very much on big data and tools for analyzing that, and more to being like just basic introduction to data, and giving people the understanding that this is not something that's just above their heads, but it's also something that they could actually take part in.
I would love to be able to see. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see. I don't know how many people have their videos on. Oh, everybody. That's fantastic. Lovely. Almost everybody. I can see lots of smiling faces. Could you just like wave your hands if you've been doing stuff with big data and you know, the whole ideas around Internet of Things? Yeah, I see Giovanni. A little bit Jasper. Claudia's laughing. No, not a lot going on there. Okay,
Helsingborg did.
Sorry?
Helsingborg raised their hands.
Oh, I can't see. Okay, yeah, I see you nodding in the woods. Yeah, hi, Helsingborg. Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I find it interesting. I think this is something that's quite an advance in the Nordic countries, and particularly in Denmark with Open Data Denmark. Oh yeah, I see that, Sanika. Yeah. I feel that this is something that we'd like to dig into a bit more in the future, Jane. You know, it seems very like a highly relevant role that the library could be at the interface between the citizens and the data, and thinking about how citizens can understand and own data or not.
Yeah, and I think that I just saw that Amos wrote in the chat about the documentary Social Dilemma that's on Netflix right now. And I know people have been watching that, and Netflix does have like a bigger outreach. So it's really great that they do something like that. But I guess at the end of the show, if any of you watched it, it's like, it doesn't have a lot of answers for you.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where we are trying to come in with some of the answers. So what does this digital mean to us if it doesn't just mean that we have to kind of turn it all off? So it's like, if the option is not to quit LinkedIn, quit all of the social media, what then the option? And for people to kind of take part of that discussion, they need some sort of understanding of what it is that we're talking about, and to get students we have in for workshops, they feel like it's completely okay. The big companies just harvest their data. They don't even have any critical sense about, is that all right? Should I be compensated somehow? Should I be able to kind of filter what data I want to give away? You know, they just accept it like it's a given. So I think that that could be really great if the libraries could take part in raising that discussion in their local communities.
I think this, I mean, I've been following this discussion for a long time now, particularly following Tristan Harris from Humane Centre for Humane Technology, who features very heavily in the Social Dilemma program. And I feel strongly that this is a very, very big opportunity for libraries, actually. And I think that it can go beyond a kind of media literacy education role, but something that's really, really integrated. Sanika, I don't know if you feel comfortable to say something. You mentioned tactical tech, you know, because the question I have for Jane, and maybe, you know, to sort of come back in a broader thing, is that, you know, if libraries are interested in this, how can they do that? There's an open, there are a number of open data, open democracy organizations that are global or European. My experience is that they've almost often not heard from libraries. And I'm going into these forums and I'm saying, did you know, did you think about working with libraries as partners? They go, oh yeah, well, oh, never thought of that. And you're like, well, you know, obviously. Sanika, would you be happy to say something quickly about Tactical Tech and what's happening there and what you're doing with them? I can't see you, but I...
Can you hear me? Because my sound is breaking up the whole time. The whole of Europe sounds like a 1990 telephone.
Yeah, connection's not great.
Like I can type some stuff, so you can go on with other.
Okay.
I'll type what we've done with Technical Tech. So
okay.
I hope it'll be better tomorrow.
That's great. Thank you so much. Yeah, Teen's just put in the chat there that Tactical Tech is an organization, a kind of, they actually describe themselves as a collective based in Berlin. And they've produced a really excellent program called Data Detox, which you'll be able to discover tomorrow. And they've been working with that in libraries across Europe. And so, you know, I know that they're certainly one of the partners that we can engage on with this. I mean, I'm just sort of thinking as we're talking that it could be really a whole angle to develop, Jane, actually, as we move forward, you know, thinking about how as a community, you know, we could have some discussions and language around data, democracy and citizens, particularly as this is becoming, you know, I think people are becoming aware of the ways in which they're interacting with technology and data. There's a bit of a wave versing on that. Thank you so much. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that we have been working with the project Data Basic, and they also have some tools online that it's open source, so everyone can use it. And they also have like very nice programs to run for citizens and school classes. So, and they are actually very aware and working with several libraries. So I think that...
can you put their details in the chat? That would be really helpful.
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see that. Okay, great. Yeah, interesting. So gosh, the hour's almost up. I could listen to, so I'd love to hear from some more of you. If you would be willing, the idea was that we would have, normally our exhibition is 1 or 2 days depending on the year. If you'd be willing to come back tomorrow, some of you at the same time, we can continue the conversation. And I'd like to hear from some of you, you know, we'll maybe reach out to some more of you and just say, if you could tell us a little bit what you're doing. I'd love to know more who's in the room as well. There's too many of you for us to kind of go around and have a quick introduction, but that's something that we could maybe figure out a way to do a little bit more, you know, which ones of you are exhibitors and which ones of you have dropped in and why, and just sort of thinking about what you're bringing or what you'd like to bring back. So we're going to have to, I'm going to put some of the conversation to tomorrow, but Teen's got a little poll for us. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just like, on the one hand, I'm really, really fed up of doing online and Zoom stuff. And on the other hand, I'm really enjoying all the kind of bells and whistles that you get to do when you do it yourself. So here's our closeout poll for this session. Are you doing it? I can't see it.
I cannot see it. Okay, yes.
Yeah, I can see it on my other screen though, so I'll look at that. Okay. You read it and go for it.
You will all see a question asking now if you, your staff, your library in general, have acquired new digital skills during this sort of past really weird year. And if you feel ready, like completely ready, if you feel like you still need a bit of help, or if you're not ready at all and it's all going to go to hell if we have another lockdown and we're all going to panic.
There's also a little bit of background for us here. We're working on a big European project which is looking at job descriptions and skill sets for librarians. And it's really interesting to see how, let's not say librarians, but people who work in libraries, what library professionals, what do they need to know how to do?
I'm going to give maybe 20 more seconds for the poll because only about half of us have voted.
Great. I'd love to hear from you guys, Helsingborg tomorrow. Okay, how does it look?
All right, share results. There we go. So not everyone voted, but in general, most of you guys all feel really ready if we have to have another lockdown, which is possible in this day and age. But yeah, digital readiness is up and coming in libraries across Europe.
Could you take 2 minutes to just have a think and put something in the chat? What's the one question you'd like to ask everybody else in the room? And we'll do it tomorrow. Okay. Claudia wants to know who's there. So from Lithuania could more than once a year is what we're saying in terms of this group, huh? Who some of us know each other very well, some not at all. Anima, great. If we had a platform, what questions would we? So best practice, yeah. I love that term, kill darlings, babies that we're throwing out. And I don't know if you know this English expression, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's a really good one, yeah. I could put that in the chat. We could put that in the question tomorrow. Maybe we can think a bit about this resources, courses question. My sort of feeling is that in terms of engaging with digital, for many libraries, we're at a kind of saturation point now. There's a lot of material out there. There's a lot of material, maybe not enough in local languages sometimes. A lot of it's very English dominated for sure. But now I think the challenge is how to select, how to find partners, how to share knowledge and resources, how to find your way through the massive amount of offer that's out there, that's free, that's not free. What should you pay for? What should you not pay for? Who should you work with? What directions to take? How to find advice? I think that there's some value in finding library communities that could be quite focused on helping people to orientate. I'm just looking at the questions, really interesting. Yeah. We could have 5 hours on all of the privacy respecting tools, including Zoom. Okay. Anima, can you just put in the chat where you're from? Yeah. Maybe you can tomorrow talk a little bit about what's happening in your library, because you have a very specific library situation in terms of the digital work that you do. Okay, that's fantastic. Team, we can grab the chat, yeah?
Yep.
And what we'll do is we'll mash that up, and then we'll come back with some specific questions and discussions. And, you know, see you all. We're going to be dropping in and out. I'm just going to go back to sharing the screen for a moment, and just go back here. So just to remind you what's happening for the rest of today, if there's things that are interesting for you. Team, can you talk us through what's happening next?
So we have a webinar with EU Code Week ambassadors, which we're organizing in partnership with EU Code Week. So they'll be there to kind of walk you through best practices they've seen in their countries, as well as just how to get started at the library, you know, what do you need to know, who do you need to reach out to. So that's happening at 1. And then you have the Data Detox Youth Project. That will be Jeroen de Boer that's presenting that. And so he'll just be walking you through a new version of a data detox kit, and that's specifically for young people and what they need to know, how you need to talk to them about data privacy. And in parallel, and that's happening, sorry, at 3. That's when I mentioned in the chat. And then you'll have also the Bleeda online workshop that starts at 2:30. That one needed to register for it, and I'm not sure if you can still register. And that would be an online workshop, sorry, on the Think the Unthinkable report that they published recently. And they'll be going through sort of what's happening in the EU and sort of where libraries can interact at an EU level, if I understood correctly the program.
Fantastic, thank you. And I just want to point out that tomorrow at 4 we have conversation with one of our library champions, Brando, who's a young Italian MEP. And as I said, part of the Generation Code project was to really, you know, kind of collide libraries and the European Parliament and have some interaction. And I'd really, really appreciate and value many of you many people who joined Generation Code really, you know, learn and understood how to talk to the members of the European Parliament, ask questions, and that's what he's going to be there for. And we really want to hear what the European Parliament is thinking about, what they might do that could be of interest and value. I think it's going to be really interesting to see the coronavirus recovery package, how that's going to translate down into national recovery packages and what opportunities might be there for our sector. So if there's one thing you can do tomorrow, it would be that, as well as joining us in the morning. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. I can see you all again. Thank you so much. Really, really interesting to hear. I would love to hear from all of you more again. So please, please, please don't be shy. Do just pop us a quick message. Let us know if you want to present something specific tomorrow or anything else that you need. And if you don't, I might pick on somebody anyway. And we'll see you maybe a little bit later on in the day, some of you. Have a great morning. Bye. You can unmute everybody and they can all say bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye from Happy.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Aspasia. Bye, Aspasia.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Bye. Oh, it'll be great to see you tomorrow, my dear.
Okay.
Should we
Bye.
chat later? Ciao, ciao.
Okay.
Hannah just joined.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hi, Hannah. We just finished.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. We started at 11, so we're just finishing now.
No problem, but
It
nice
was
to see
great.
you. How did it work?
It was really good, really nice, I think. We had 27 people.
30 something.
Wow, amazing. Really good.
Wow.
Nice change. Yeah,
That's really good.
Lots of really.
And from all over, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
We have to do a quick. I didn't know everybody who was on.
But that's good. So
Yes.
just new people.
Hola, María Benina.
Okay, so I don't want to disturb you.
No worries, darling. We'll see you later.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Ciao.
You look traumatized.
Oh my God, that was not how it was all, you know, like the